I'm gonna tell you, I've always wanted my own talk show, maybe called Sherri. I don't know. Because I love to have fun. I love people feeling good. When I tell you the battles, people don't understand. When we are in power, the battles we gotta fight that you will never know about. Never. To keep a show on the air.
Y'all, Wendy Williams still dominates the game. Ever since Sherri Shepherd took her daytime slot, Wendy has been waiting, watching, and hoping to see it all crumble.
It's being reported, y'all, that things are finally looking up, y'all, for Wendy Williams. And they're saying if the signs are right, they're saying 2026 could be her biggest year yet. Now, they say just one day, honey, after the news broke that her daytime replacement, Sherri Shepherd, is being canceled after 4 seasons. It's being reported, y'all, MTO has learned that producers are actively, y'all, working on a plan to bring Wendy Williams back, y'all, to television.
Wendy may have kept things polite on camera, but now that Sherri's show is cancelled, she's spilling the tea on why Sherri could never replace her. The real question is Wendy about to take her spot back on TV? If the rumors are true, she might be returning very soon.
Okay, so Sherri Shepherd. Sherri.
Okay, so by now, most of you have probably heard that Sherri Shepherd's talk show has been cancelled. And honestly, the news came as a real surprise. The show had been running for 4 seasons and featured some major guests, including Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and 50 Cent. With that kind of star power, it seemed like the show had built a solid foundation in daytime television. On top of that, Sherri had been pulling in decent ratings, especially when compared to similar shows like Jennifer Hudson's program. Everything appeared to be going in the right direction. In fact, Sherri herself was reportedly confident that the show would be renewed for a 5th season. Not only that, but she was also hoping for a multi-season extension that would fully cement her place in daytime TV. Behind the scenes, things seemed even more promising. Sources claim that Sherri had already begun making requests for changes moving forward. One of those included a pay increase, along with a reduced filming schedule so she could focus on other projects like acting and stand-up comedy. From her perspective, it looked like she was leveling up and preparing for long-term success. That's why the cancellation hit so hard. When Debmar Mercury officially pulled the plug, Sherri was reportedly blindsided. According to insiders, the decision wasn't exactly amicable, and it left her shocked. The company released a statement explaining that the cancellation was due to the evolving daytime television landscape, emphasizing that it wasn't a reflection of the show's quality or Sherri's talent. They even went as far as saying the show had found strong creative momentum and that they still believed in both the project and Sherri herself. They also mentioned exploring opportunities to continue the show on other platforms. Still, for many fans, that explanation didn't quite add up. If the show was doing well and building momentum, why cancel it at all? Interestingly, one person who claims this outcome wasn't surprising is Wendy Williams. According to Wendy, the real reason Sherri's show was picked up in the first place had less to do with long-term potential and more to do with timing. She suggested that networks were simply looking for someone upbeat, relatable, and easygoing to temporarily fill the gap she left behind. Before landing the show, Sherri had reportedly been pitching her own talk show for a while without much success. But everything changed when Wendy's health issues began to escalate. During that time, multiple guest hosts stepped in to keep the show running, and Sherri was one of them. Her appearances were well received, and audiences seemed to enjoy her energy. However, once Wendy was placed under guardianship, it became increasingly clear that she wouldn't be returning to her show anytime soon. That opened the door for a permanent replacement, and that's when Sherri got her big opportunity. The network quickly moved forward with giving her a show, positioning her as the new face of that daytime slot. And this is where things get a little controversial. Sherri actually announced her new talk show while still appearing on The Wendy Williams Show. The transition wasn't subtle at all. In fact, the network openly presented her as Wendy's replacement, which didn't sit well with everyone. To some, it felt like the change happened too quickly, without fully acknowledging Wendy's legacy. Now, with Sherri's show cancelled, the entire situation feels like it has come full circle. It raises questions about whether she was ever meant to be a long-term fixture or simply a temporary solution during a difficult transition period in daytime television.
Starting in September, I am debuting my own talk show, Sherri! I am so excited because I am going to be joining the Debmar Mercury family. That is the company that produces this show and several others that you love.
She was given the same 10 a.m. time.
She was handed the exact same 10 a.m. time slot, and it didn't stop there. Even Wendy Williams' social media accounts on Instagram and Twitter were rebranded and passed over to Sherri Shepherd, giving her instant access to Wendy's massive audience. Yes, really. The wild part? When Sherri's show launched, it felt almost identical to Wendy's. The entrances had the same energy, the segments followed a familiar format, and the overall vibe made it seem like viewers were watching a reworked version of the Wendy Williams show, just without the iconic purple chair and Wendy's signature "How you doing?" So, it's no surprise that Wendy wasn't happy. In fact, insiders say she was more than upset, she was deeply frustrated. Before her health declined, Wendy had built a reputation for consistency. She rarely missed a show, stayed committed to her schedule, and carried daytime television on her back for years. To see her platform transition this way didn't sit right with her. And then things got even messier. Sherri appeared to throw subtle shade, suggesting that it might be better for Wendy to stay home and be cared for due to her health, comments that only added fuel to an already heated situation.
Well, so there's just a lot going on in Wendy's life that this is where you need your friends, where you need your family, you need people who love you. So all I can do over here is pray.
According to Wendy Williams, Sherri Shepherd went out of her way to create tension between them. Wendy claims that even when she tried to handle things privately and suggested they sit down to talk, Sherri still framed the situation as jealousy, implying that Wendy was threatened by her success. That narrative didn't sit well with Wendy, especially considering everything she had built over the years. Now that Sherri's show has been cancelled so abruptly, Wendy reportedly sees it as karma, a full-circle moment for how she was treated and ultimately replaced. And if Sherri is holding on to hope that the network might revive her show, Wendy's stance is clear: that comeback may never happen. The truth is, Sherri didn't need to imitate Wendy to succeed. The real goal was to create her own identity, something that would keep viewers tuning in daily to hear her unique perspective. Unfortunately, many feel that didn't happen. While audiences can get celebrity news and gossip from countless platforms, what made Wendy stand out was her unapologetic delivery. She didn't just report the tea, she owned it. That's where the gap became obvious. Sherri's approach was more polished and careful, which isn't necessarily a flaw, but it didn't match what daytime audiences had come to expect from that time slot. The network, on the other hand, was used to bigger returns during Wendy's era. While Sherri's show wasn't losing money, it also wasn't generating the same level of buzz or revenue. Sources close to Wendy have long maintained that no one could replicate what she brought to daytime television. And now, with everything unfolding, that belief seems stronger than ever. In fact, there are growing whispers that producers may be considering bringing Wendy back, hoping to revive the energy and impact that once defined that slot.
Goal right now, and the priority is to get her back home. Wherever home is, not there, where she can come go as she pleases.
Right here in New York, where I'm working, and you know what kind of stuff I want to do. As a matter of fact, we just met somebody very familiar with. Well,
she wants to get back to work, and she should get back to work.
Right.
People
And
love
we
her.
miss you.
I get more calls in support of her than I've ever had for any client, ever.
There's a growing wave of speculation that Wendy Williams could be released from her guardianship within the next 90 days. And if that happens, the entire daytime TV landscape might shift again. According to circulating reports, networks are already preparing for her possible return, and they're pulling out all the stops to make sure she has every reason to step back into the spotlight. One of the biggest claims? That Sherri Shepherd's show being cancelled isn't just about ratings or strategy, it may also be part of a larger plan to clear the way for Wendy's comeback. While nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders suggest that executives are eager to restore what once worked so well, and that means bringing Wendy back to her original territory. What's even more interesting is that Wendy is reportedly already making moves behind the scenes. There are rumors that she has secured a new place in New York, possibly in preparation for filming a new show. Some sources claim that production could begin shortly after Sherri's show officially wraps in the fall, hinting at a seamless transition from one era to the next. And here's where things get even more telling. The same demands that Sherri allegedly made, requests for higher pay, fewer filming hours, and more creative control, are now rumored to be on the table for Wendy. Not only that, but there's talk of a bigger production budget, an expanded team, and even the possibility of bringing over some of Sherri's former staff members to work on Wendy's new project. There are also reports that the production team is planning thoughtful adjustments to accommodate Wendy's health and mobility. One detail that's caught a lot of attention is the idea of a custom purple chair being designed specifically for her, allowing her to glide onto the stage instead of walking. It's a subtle but symbolic move, blending her iconic style with practical support. On top of all that, there are whispers that the network is looking to make amends with Wendy for how things ended previously. If true, it suggests a recognition of her impact and a desire to rebuild that relationship in a more respectful way. As much as some people sympathize with Sherri for losing her show, there's no denying that a large portion of the audience is focused on Wendy's potential return. For many, it feels overdue. Wendy wasn't just another host. She was a personality, a brand, and a driving force behind daytime talk for years. Online reactions have been mixed but passionate. Some viewers feel that Sherri never truly stepped out of Wendy's shadow and that the role was always going to be difficult to sustain. Others, however, give Sherri credit for holding it down for 4 seasons, pointing out that daytime television is one of the toughest spaces to succeed in. At the end of the day, the conversation keeps circling back to Wendy. People are curious, excited, and even a little nostalgic. The big question now is whether she'll actually return, and if she does, whether she can reclaim her throne in a media landscape that has changed significantly. So, what do you think? Would you like to see Wendy Williams make her comeback? And if she does, do you think she can take over daytime TV once again?